Hello, Nocita School Community. This is Tanya Kotlowski. I am live from the school building today for one of my updates. It's been a while since I've been with you, so I'm happy to be here in front of you and glad to be providing a little update for you as we head into some frigid weather as we started off with today. So one of the common questions I get is there a threshold of extreme cold that we would make a decision of whether or not to close schools? And so today I wanted to give just a little update and just some discussion, if you will, around that so people have a general idea about some of that decision making and kind of what goes into that decision making process. So as some of you know and some of you may not know, the weather meteorologists have changed what is the depiction of kind of how they share information about extreme cold. So they don't use necessarily wind chill, although I've seen that language already used. But extreme cold warning would mean the temperature plus the wind is creating, 30 below degrees. Because whether the wind is present or not, the feel of it is what it is. So they don't, with the warnings, advisories, and watches of extreme cold, they don't necessarily say wind chill. It is including chill because that is the temperature outside if there is a wind. So in relationship to this week, as many of you know, we have some very frigid weather this week. My hope is that, this week, if we can get through it, that we are going to be ready for some little bit warmer weather next week, but we have to get through these next few days. So tomorrow morning would be Tuesday, February 18th, is supposed to be the coldest day of the week. Our forecast is looking at maybe 25 to 29 or so below, and so certainly that gives us pause, even if it's not in a warning, an extreme cold warning. So we will consider closing if we get into that frigid of a temperature. And part of that decision-making process is twofold. One, we haven't had days on end of that extreme cold. So when you hit those first days, we've had a couple, but when you hit those first days of extreme weather, it takes our kids and families a while to realize that, well, we need to be dressing warmer and we need to be taking this a little more seriously. The first few days of extreme cold is a pretty tough scenario because it's just not taken the way it used to. When I was a kid, I grew up on a dairy farm, so we were forced to be outside morning and night, and we had the acclimation to extreme cold. And we knew what it was. We knew that, holy cow, we need to wear warmer clothes because it is cold out there as we're doing chores outside. Many of our kids now are not acclimated to the cold because they don't have to do things outside, and many of them aren't prepared for the cold because they don't have to be in the cold. So it is not uncommon for us to see kids in a sweatshirt and shorts standing out for a bus, unfortunately. That is just kind of where we are in society, and whether we can get disgusted or judge it, it is a fact of what it is that we deal with in schools. And so we do have to consider all things when it comes to keeping our kids safe. In many kids' situations, it's not the kids' fault. They need to have more direction, and it shouldn't be their choice whether to dress for the weather or not, because God forbid our buses would break down and the heat on those buses doesn't work. It would take very little time for them to experience very frigid weather, and it takes a while for us to get to a bus if we do have to do that, because as you know, we have outskirts of our school community that our buses are driving that can be 30 miles out. So we want to make sure that we are taking every precaution we can and understanding the reality of our situation when we make the decisions. We have had scenarios that we've had days and days on end of like 15 below or so, even close to 20. I remember several years back we ran into that. And we canceled the first couple, and then we had to really say, I think we canceled like 3 days in a row. And then we had to get our ducks in a row and make sure everybody was communicated with and get things on board to kids being transported in pretty extreme cold. So there are scenarios where we may go to school when it's been extreme cold, but there are certainly scenarios where we are just not used to it, and we have to make decisions based on what's best for children. I do understand every time I make a decision that I will have people not happy with me. Unfortunately, that's just part of being a school superintendent that I do not love so much. But I am always going to make the best decision I can for our children. When I think of all kids from 4 years old to 18, whether they're riding the bus or whether they're driving themselves or whether their family's driving on the road, I want to make sure that I never have to look back and say, I cannot believe that I didn't do something different. So I'm pretty conservative when it comes to all of that. I, of course, am not going to be a Lone Ranger and have, the CETA canceled and there's not a school around that is not canceled. I'm not going to do that either. It puts our parents and families in a really bad position when it comes to work and other related things. So, but I'm always going to make the best decision I can for our kids. So as we head into the rest of this week, again, tomorrow is supposed to be our most cold day of the mornings, and even after we hit the morning hours, I'm not sure about the sunshine like we have today, but I do know we stay very cold throughout the day tomorrow, and even into as we head into Wednesday night, we're still supposed to have it all the way through that night as well. I believe our advisory is supposed to end at like 9 a.m. or so on Wednesday. So for the next 48 hours or so, we're going to be pretty chilly around here at Necedah. So that's the update I wanted to kind of give you regarding cold weather and extreme cold and how we're kind of making decisions and why things are a little bit maybe different than when I was in school, because it is different. Society is different. Our kids are not outside like they used to be, and nor do they dress for it because they're not out there. So the last thing I would just mention, happy Valentine's Day. I know we're already past it, but I have not been on since then. It's other than Christmas and Easter, it is my favorite day of the year because it almost is a day that gives me permission to remind people that I love them. So as we head into these frigid times, it is a good time to remind you that if nobody's told you they love you today, I love you guys. Hope to see you again here soon on Facebook Live, and please stay warm and be safe. If you need to use our school for anything, families, you have my cell phone. Just call me and I will let you in, and you certainly can be here so your family has a warm place to be if you need it. Other than that, I'll see you next time here on Facebook Live. Bye, everybody.